Welcome to Jelly Trumpet!
Welcome to Jelly Trumpet, making you more creative. Tips, tricks and ideas for expanding your imagination.
A moment, Jim?
Yes, Mr. B? I mean, we have a show to do. What could possibly be so important?
I've just looked you up on Google Maps and you're not there.
What? Well, where am I?
One moment.
Mr. B, we have a show to do.
Oh, it would appear that you are there.
Where's that?
There, Jim, is Mordor.
What could I possibly be doing in Mordor?
I'll just zoom in. Oh, it looks like you've written yourself into Lord of the Rings with a view to giving it a happy ending, and now you're living in Bag End.
Sounds about right.
Did you take anyone with you?
Not yet. I'm waiting for the right woman.
Of course.
Did you say orc course?
Yes, it's a typo.
Moving on, welcome to Jelly Trumpet, making you more creative tips, tricks and ideas for expanding your imagination. Today we're going to be talking about... What's that?
That's a cat, Jim.
Well, why don't you let him out?
Because you're sitting on him. Well, his tail.
I do apologise. Thank you, Mr. B. Today we're in Welwyn Garden City, Hertfordshire. If you know Welwyn, we're in the Castle Keep above the Howard Centre.
Who's that?
Where? Pointing isn't going to work on a podcast, Mr. B.
I do apologise. There to the left of the giant bin and the right of the lady selling parrots.
Well, it looks like George Clooney.
Has he been busking long?
Oh look, he's doing the Man Against the Wind mime.
We really must get on with the podcast, Jim. I'll just pop down and see if George would like an Americano with milk on the side.
Very well. But first, Mr. B, the button.
Coming up on Jelly Trumpet!
You are your own medicine. An exercise to try at home. Challenge Jim. Silly, silly, silly things. And our guest spot featuring James Berg. Sponsored by Conversion Detectives, the really creative digital marketing agency. Search Conversion Detectives. You are your own medicine.
Being your own medicine means keeping a journal of what works when you are being creative. So you write down what's working for you, what puts you in the right frame of mind, and anything else that helps you, as only you can make yourself the most creative person possible. You the creative, are your own medicine. So what works for you? How do you repeat that? How do you push your imagination and bring out more and more ideas? It's self-coaching. We've talked about generating ideas before. Now, I have a very loose idea of creativity and how it works. So I record my successes so I can repeat them and my failures for learning. And yep, I fail often. So keep a diary, a journal of your creative universe. You'll have specific things for your discipline. Note them, go back to them. Do these things always work? Now, loosely, the creative process goes through these broad stages. There's preparation, so getting in the mood, and incubation. This is letting your unconscious work, and it ends with verification, the editor bit. Along the way is mapping. And what do I mean by that? Well, for a writer, it means mapping the world you've created for your characters. It's like creating this huge field for characters to run around in. There are boundaries, there are places to go, places you think you should avoid. And when your characters are formed, you let them run loose under your direction. When your characters are fully formed, you often find that they will do their own thing. So the map can take many forms. You might list your ideas, but lists are linear, 1, 2, 3, whereas creativity is all over the place. If you are a logical person, you can work that way. John Cleese, for instance, when writing 40 Towers, would list what should happen, then logically list what would go wrong to build his comedy world. Mind mapping by Tony Buzan is one way you can map out a creative world. Ideas spill out in an organic way and you can link them with arrows and put in plot points, the story and anything else you think creates that world. So the takeaway, map out your world so you know where you are going. This is very useful if you find the creation of what you want daunting. Come up with the ending, right towards that ending, you have a destination. It really helps me a lot. When you get to the end, you can always change it. Or you'll find your characters have done it for you. Mr. B, what's your headline on LinkedIn? You know, that one-line description.
Analyst developer.
So not a disruptor,
No.
not a developer ninja,
No.
thought leader,
No.
fire starter perhaps.
No.
You could be Chief Maverick,
No. That would be silly. What does yours say?
Lord of the Dance and Surveyor of the Known Universe.
Jim, have another copy, mate.
Challenge at home.
This episode's challenge for you is to create your own way of mapping a project and using combinations of tools, creative tools that work. Now, I find the same tools don't always work, and that's why I have a large collection. So this is about mapping and combining. Mapping, we talked about index cards in a previous episode. So each index card can be a scene in a play or TV show. And you write up a card for each scene and then add ideas as you're going along. So eventually you have a skeleton. And you can always change it, but it is like a support system for when you come to do the real writing. You have a plot and scene ideas. It takes a lot of pressure off for some of us that need direction. Investigate Mind Mapping by Tony Bazan is another way of creating your creative project map. Now, combining, here's a quote, "Carry on being uncommercial, there's a lot of money in it." Jerome Kern said this to Vivian Ellis, an English composer. And what I take that to mean is do your own thing. So make your own combinations of tools that work for you. For instance, if you have doubt in your ability, and a lot of us do, then try the editor and the sweetheart exercises. As the editor, you write out all the negative thoughts that are in your head, and then you follow up with all the good things. That's the sweetheart. And she'll tell you about all your creativity and good points. Then you can follow up this simple exercise like listing all the things that are similar to this problem or the opposite. Then try a mind map at this point, or whatever way works best for you. Try another exercise like, what is the truth here? Try to define the problem better. You've got to find the right question to ask yourself. Set a quota for the exercise. For example, 10 truths and a time limit for your editor and sweetheart. So takeaway, build your own tool combinations. Experiment. Which are the most productive for you? And then note them in your medicine, your creativity journal. Mr. B, you know all those get-rich with online marketing schemes you see on Facebook?
Yeah, I just blocked them.
I saw a variation of the rip-off scheme.
What was it?
I saw a course on Facebook called stoppingscams.com. Sign up to my course and I'll tell you how not to be taken in by these scams. I think the internet is slowly eating itself.
So, did you sign up?
Of course I didn't sign up. I'm too busy with my sheep farm in Saudi Arabia.
And now,
Creative Heroes.
My creative hero in this episode is a big one, Pixar Studios. I'm going to talk about the movie Up in a mo, but I came across this fact today. In preparation for animating Wall-E, the Pixar's film story crew and animation crew would watch a Buster Keaton film and a Charlie Chaplin film every day for almost a year. And this was so they would be able to convey emotions silently and effectively. Now, I've loved modern CG animation movies since seeing the first Madagascar. I say this is the creative mainstream and it's brilliant. When you hear a quote like that one, you realise it's not just an accident. They dedicate themselves to the detail. Two other things from this quote. Visual comedy and emotion wins a lot by giving a little. A robot showing emotion? That's right. Second is to watch Buster Keaton's movie The General for pure invention. Now Up, do see it. A whimsical delight filled with true emotion, visual invention and comedy bliss. At the core of this movie is character combination. You have this old boy, Carl, a boy scout called Russell, and Doug the dog. Oh, and also Kevin, the giant South American bird, who is actually female. How did they come up with that combination? Oh yes, and thanks to technology, Doug the dog can talk. A lot of work, yeah. So creative stuff is almost always about graft, learning about the detail that makes your project the very best it can be. A takeaway from this that I get is that mapping out inspirations for our work is a good idea. And bringing those inspirations or influences into our own work is just going to make it better. Watch Up again and again. I do believe George Clooney is now juggling.
Oh yes, so he is. Do you think he got those balls for Christmas?
I think he may have had them longer than that, Mr. B.
Who's that beside him?
Where?
Just along the moat, the one doing Being a Living Statue.
Not sure.
Could it be...
Who, Mr. B?
It can't be.
Go on.
It's Antonio Banderas,
I think you're wrong, Mr. B. I believe that is Julie Andrews.
dressed as the Archangel Gabriel.
Who'd have thought it, eh?
Yes, in Welling Garden City.
Guest spot.
So on this episode, we have as our guest James Burke from Pickeroons, a content marketing agency, a very special content marketing agency. Hello, James. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you, Jim. How are you?
I'm good. What are you, well, let's start with what you're currently doing. What's your current projects looking like?
My current projects, busy, exciting. I think we spoke before about I'm currently running the business out of Portugal. I have a surf town called Ericeira. And yeah, we've got a few cool projects on. We're working with someone on a book launch that's coming up. Got a few exciting pitches, doing our ongoing work with a few of our clients. And we're starting to produce some of our own content as well, which is kind of taking a nice amount of focus. So yeah, at the moment, I think my aim was always, and I don't know if it was about a year ago when we first caught up, that I was telling you that the aim of Pickeroons was kind of to be a bit of a remote content studio. And obviously with what's happened with COVID, a lot of people have been forced to be a bit more remote, but that was always our setup. So yeah, to be honest, the business is firing at the moment. It's exciting. It's every day's challenges, but good challenges.
And so you make all sorts of different types of content, don't you? Could you tell us about the types of content that Pickeroons comes up with? Is it mainly video? Is it animation? Is it imagery?
Yeah, so it's a mix of all of it, really. We want to be able to create anything that people need. So we've got photographers, we've got animators, we've got graphic designers, videographers, video editors, building out our VFX, our visual effects offering. To be honest, COVID, because of the limitations on being able to kind of be face-to-face, and the filming projects, the photography projects, we've definitely seen them go right down. But we've seen a big lift in video editing, so taking content that people had that already existed, turning that into new videos, animations, graphics. So that's kind of a mix of what we do, and it's helping people with their social media, their email newsletters, their podcasts. Yeah, really anything. It's kind of, if you want it made, we've got someone in the crew who's exceptionally talented that can make it for you.
Cool. What's your earliest memory of being or doing anything creative?
That's such a good question. I mean, aside from the obvious, when you're a kid, just drawing on all the walls and upsetting your parents, I suppose, do you know, there's one that's quite a weird one, and I must be about 6 or 7. And my dad always would work out in the gym, and he was obsessed with gym stuff. And I came up with this whole idea of creating a gym in my house. I was like 6 years old. And I think I built stuff out of like bottles.
Right.
I built like weights out of bottles.
Yeah.
And then I think I remember making like an invitation to a friend to come and join me at the gym. When I look back, I don't know, that's such a weird thing to do.
I think it's a lovely story.
It's a lovely thing. It's such a weird, like the fact that I was so committed to we're going to make a gym out of bottles. And yeah, that's my first real memory. And I think around that same time, I had a box of, I'd make things out of different coloured straws. I don't know what, I couldn't tell you. And I remember my dad thought that it was a box of rubbish and threw it out in the bin.
Oh no, that's the end of some creativity there. So in your field, have you got any creative heroes when it comes to content?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I look to a lot of people in my field as creative heroes. I think, and you know this, that I like to look outside of it. I like to look at other people for inspiration. But in the kind of content creation world, there's Aaron Draplin, who's a graphic designer. And I read his book, and it was a huge influence on me. Huge influence, because he made things that he liked. He did listen to the client ask. He helped the clients, but he loved his own work. And I think that was my first eye opener to like, if I have fun, if I enjoy it, if I'm proud of it, then, and it's good, then it will affect other people. And the guy he used to make all these graphic design posters of his dog called Gary. And it was that kind of irreverence, fun things for himself. They were incredibly high quality. So he's always been a big influence for me. And also a bit where I said before about sometimes we do projects for clients that are very, very expensive and big projects with big teams. And also sometimes I will sit in a pub with someone, and if they buy my drinks for the night, I'll give them 10 minutes and we'll just bounce ideas off each other. And he's the one that kind of taught me, like, actually, if you're going to do something, do it for, like, what's the saying? It's like, if you're going to do something, don't do it for nothing. I think that's the saying.
What's something no one knows about you?
So no, if I was to tell you that,
it's a leading question, but it doesn't have to be related.
I suppose on a more interesting level, something people don't know about me is until I was about 14 or 15, I wanted to be an ice skating marshal, where you work at an ice skating rink and you just get to skate around on the ice all day. That was my kind of dream.
Did you ever do that? Did you ever do that? Did you get a chance to do it?
I did. I did the lessons to get. You've got to get. So I asked them. I think I was about 12, and I said, "What have I got to do to become an ice skating marshal?" And I thought they were like the rock stars. I thought they were amazing. And they said, "Oh, you've got to do whatever these exams are." So I started doing it, and the tests and the course. I think I got to like grade 2 or grade 3, and I kept failing in grade 3. And then I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna give up."
Wow.
But when you say to people I did ice skating, like my friends just assume I was like pirouetting and
ice dance and all that. Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. Well, how often do you have eureka moments, or do you think creativity is always a matter of just graft?
Yeah, Paul, that's a good question. I think it's a matter of graft, which leads to eureka moments all the time.
That's a way of seeing it.
I worked very, very hard. I worked very, very hard for a long time to build a very good places to get inspiration and curation from, specific to what it is we do. I genuinely feel like there's not much in the content world that would come out that we wouldn't, like any new innovations that we wouldn't know about or have seen. And I think that by being tapped into that, and like we said before, the social media feed, you just always got things popping up, email newsletters that give me that inspiration.
Yeah.
And I think because, as we said before, because my goal is to try and have fun and to enjoy the client work, I'm always tapped in a bit. I've always got my mind on different things, different clients. So something will come up and I'll go, "Oh, that's perfect for that client." Or like you said, there'll be something and I won't actively try and think about it, but something will happen. It'll just click. I'll be out and about. I'll see something. Like, right, I need to do that for this client. So at the moment, and as I said, it might be because I'm new to this, because I'm young to it, and I don't know. But at the moment, yeah, we've got a lot of eureka moments happening every day, and that might just be because I'm learning so much and starting off.
Oh, it's because you're quite obsessed as well, I think.
Yeah, and that maybe.
So I'm a great believer in telling people that only they know how to be creative. And I encourage them to record the details of what works and what doesn't work for them. Would you agree with that? Because it sounds like you don't record what makes you more creative, because you're always generating ideas and looking for efficiency. You don't feel like you need to improve your creativity.
It's a good question, but I think it's almost because I'm always looking to improve the efficiency. As a result, we're always improving our creativity. So process is our goal. That's one of our 3 main core competencies are our brand, our pirate side, our creativity, what we put out, and our process. That's the focus for me. And I think by doing that, I 1,000% agree. Everyone has to find what works for them across everything. I'm always firing. I'm always up for ideas. But then for someone else, they might only be up for ideas on a Saturday morning when the conditions are perfect and they're chilled. If I reverse that, actually, I'm always up for ideas. I'm never up for all the finance and admin stuff I'm supposed to do for the business. So when I do my finance and admin stuff, I need to have a day where I've committed that whole day. I've got nothing else. I have a really nice breakfast. I really chill and I focus. And if we apply that to the creativity, I think what you said of find your process. When I say record it, it's actually, yes, I don't record it. I don't do something and go, "Oh, that was a good process that I just did then. I should do that in future." But what I do is very regularly, almost every couple of weeks, we're going, right, now let's run the projects through Trello. And we've got those experiences. Yeah, that one project we tried that on, that worked very well, so let's do it. So even though I'm not recording it, I'm almost very often having check-ins with myself or the team to go, what should we apply? What have we learned over the last 2 weeks? What did work? What didn't work? And I think, it's a nice way, you're right, to record your process and then you optimize it. We say test and learn, test and learn, test and learn. What works, throw it out, bring it in. Throw it out, bring it in.
Now, this is the one I ask all our guests, and it's really the final question. So if a 10-year-old asked you, what one thing would make me more creative, what would you reply?
That's such a good question. Having fun, but a bit more specific than that, having fun and not worrying what anyone else thinks. And when I say not worrying, I think too many people are trying to be cool. They're trying to do what you're supposed to do. And I think if kids are crazy, man. They come up with some crazy things. And like me, when I said earlier about like trying to start a gym out of bottles, and it's never do what you're supposed to do. Never do that thing. And the people that kind of keep that creativity from childhood, when kids say crazy, mad stuff, if you can keep that, I think that's the key, is never, and I'd say like, try and think like a child. What's the maddest idea you could come up with? Say it, and then edit it, work on it. But yeah, I think if I say to a 10-year-old, it's like, never do what you're supposed to do. Never just do, that's the way it's supposed to be. This is the way it's supposed to be. Boys are supposed to only use blue. Girls are supposed to only use pink.
I'm the same with that.
I'm just working with someone at the moment we're using a magenta, like a pink magenta, and it's such a strong and creative color. Yeah. And it's like, find whatever rules there are in this kind of the pirate way and like break them, like keep pushing it. And what I find so interesting is when you look back on those people that were kind of creative, kooky when you're through school, they're the ones now that are just so creative, just doing amazing things because they didn't try and buy into the like, I'm supposed to just be doing sport. I'm supposed to just be doing that. Yeah. So yeah, I think that would always be my advice, is like, do what you want to do, try it, have fun with it, and try not to worry what anyone else is. If anyone says, that's not cool, doesn't matter, I'm enjoying it. Having fun yourself is cool.
I love it. That's a great answer. Thank you very much for that. So how can one of our listeners get in touch with you?
So get in touch through our website, pickeroons.co.uk. On Instagram, we're pickeroons_. And on LinkedIn, James Berg, BERG. Please do add me. Kind of through any of that. And also always happy to chat for anything. It's great to speak to anyone who's creative, who's got an idea. If you think we can work together, or even if you don't and just want to chat, always love to speak to people.
Brilliant. Thanks, James. That was James Berg from Pickeroons. Thank you very much, James. See ya.
Thanks so much for having me. It was great fun.
What are you doing, Jim?
I'm honing my miming skills, Mr. B. Look, this is picking up a heavy suitcase.
What's in it that makes it so heavy?
Nothing, Mr. B. It's a mime.
So why don't you get a real one?
Because it's a mime, Mr. B.
But a real suitcase would work just as well.
But it's a... I see what you mean. I could keep my 8 Victoria sponges in a real suitcase.
Exactly.
Let me get this straight.
Go on.
There's no real need for mime.
Exactly.
Well, there goes the mime industry.
It never really existed, Jim.
Hey?
It was a mime all along.
Challenge Jim!
It's Challenge Jim time. Jim, your challenge right now is to create a character you will encounter on a train. You have 1 minute,
on a train?
Starting now.
Okay, so I'm sitting on the stay. Guy comes and sits down next to me.
That's not a train.
What? Oh, okay. So I'm sitting on a train, intercity, and someone sits next to me, and he introduces himself, and he goes, "Hello, my name's Frank." Because he's sort of like Yorkshire or Lancashire.
He sounds like Arthur Maurice.
Arthur Maurice? No, he doesn't sound anything like Arthur Maurice. This is a different accent entirely. And he says, "My name's Frank, and I can make chocolate disappear." And I say, "Oh, right, okay." And so he's got this Yorkshire...
30 seconds.
...start, Lancashire accent. Pennines. He's from the Pennines. He's Pennine Frank. And Pennine Frank says, "I can make chocolate disappear." And then he takes out a big bag of chocolates and he tilts his head back and he pours all the chocolates down his throat.
It's not really a gift, though, is it?
What?
He might be hungry.
Well, yeah, but you don't eat a whole packet of chocolate on a train, do you? And then he goes, how about
5,
that, lad?
4,
Can you do
3,
that? And I
2,
say, no.
1. Ta-da!
No, I can't do that. Was he funny? He wasn't like Arthur Maurice, was he? Now, letter writing. Why are we no longer writing letters? Because it's 75p for a first-class stamp. That's why. What I would do is reduce the postage stamp to 5p so people write more letters. Imagine this, picking up your post from the doormat and seeing a letter written by a human being. You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to write a letter or two this week to people that make me laugh and to people that annoy me. Yes, I shall write to the BBC about the weather. You know, make it more convenient. Snow only on Sundays, rain only during the night, and many sunny spring days during the week. Who are you going to write a letter to? Mr. B, a musical burst, if you please.
Hot topic.
Recently, I finished writing 3 full-length plays, and I decided to take a break and write a short story for fun. Well, 8,000 words later, after 3 Saturday mornings, I had Story Wars. 3 young adults meet in the woods to tell each other a story. The first story is about pirates that live in our present day. And the second is about a time-travelling hotel. And the third is about a talking cat called Kevin during and after the USA's invasion of the UK. Then a friend sent me a link to a course about how to approach publishing houses. Now, I love the idea of getting published. It's a short story, but all 3 stories could become massive story words. So I decided I would publish it myself on Kindle on Amazon. Now, if you want to try this, write your story, design a book cover. Canva.com is great and really easy to use. Then open a Kindle Direct Publishing account, KDB account. Once you have the text and the cover, it's going to take you roughly 30 to 40 minutes to publish. You do have to make some decisions on which is the best way for you to do this, as there is more than one reward scheme you can join. So if you're interested in a short story from the Jelly Trumpet stable, search Amazon for Jim Kinloch. That's Kinloch. I thank you.
The map says you're on the move, Jim.
Really, Mr. B? Where am I now?
Let me see. Aha, you're to the left of your own ability and just beyond redemption.
Oh.
Do you want to know how to get back to Welling Garden City?
Well, that would be handy.
Well, it will take 2 years of counselling.
I'll get me coat. Go ahead, caller.
Is that you, Jim?
Yes, this is Jim.
It's Hank, Jim, from Holland, your creative friend.
I remember, Hank. What pearl of creativity do you have for us today?
I have 7, nay, 8 words for you.
Go on.
I have a quote about creativity just for you, Jim.
Go on.
To be a creative child, one must first become an adult.
Thank you, Hank.
That was 11 words.
You counted. There really was no need.
List of the week.
I just love lists, and I often create lists for reference when I'm writing. And this is also part of what I call mapping. It's very useful on big projects. So when I was writing a trilogy of plays, which were all based on movie genres, I listed things like the 7 main characters of the Magnificent Seven, the 7 Dwarfs, best disaster movies. So I had a whole lot of references to play with. And another unusual list, which I used, were the 4 humours, which are sanguine, phlegmatic, choleric, and melancholy. So each of these mapped to a character type, which became the starting point for 4 of the main characters in those plays. Another list were the character types of the 4 penguins in Madagascar, because it's a movie I love and it just makes me laugh. So I borrowed some traits and I layered those on top of the 4 humours for these characters. There were others, but I never based characters on real people. I grow them from lists like this or ideas to try and make them unique.
Further thinking spot.
This episode is a book, The Secret Language of Symbols by David Fontana. It's a book to dip into for inspiration. You can use the book as a starting point. Pick a symbol and use it as a starting point for your imagination. Or you can use it to cultivate symbols or motifs for your work. It's packed with pictures and has a very thorough index. Give it a go. Join us in further episodes and be more creative. Pick up tips and tricks you can put into play instantly. Try exercises to boost your imagination. Listen to creative guests and a whole lot of what we call fun. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions or ideas for Jelly Trumpet, email us jelly@jellytrumpet.com.
That was Jelly Trumpet, making him more creative with Jim Kinlock and Mr. B. Sponsored by Conversion Detectives, the really creative digital marketing agency. Search Conversion Detectives.
Now here's Mr. B playing Us No Fear by We Paint Houses, a melodic rock band. Find them on Facetube and on Bandcamp.
Nothing is strange or weird, looks out of place. Don't fear, just look around, it's me. Now take my time, so let's see. Said there's nothing to fear, 'cause there's nothing here. Now take my time, so that's fine. Drop the pill, I feel ill. Colors and shapes, no size. Turning my head to these black eyes. Said there's nothing to fear, 'cause there's nothing here. No fear, nothing to fear. Can't you hear, nothing to fear. No fear, nothing to fear.
I was wondering about sheep, Mr. B.
Shouldn't we be doing a debrief of the episode?
Yes.
And
Don't sheep look like clouds on legs?
the episode, Jim, we're talking about the episode.
Oh, yes. It went well, I believe.
I thought so too. Now, I thought we should have an interlude in the next episode with...
An interlude?
Yes, an interlude. So as I was saying, an interlude with some Marvel superheroes.
If I was a Marvel superhero...
Yeah, well, who would you be?
Captain Hindsight.
That's not going to help Professor X or the planet.
Well, I know that now.